Winnicott wrote about mothers and how they start off when their babies are born in an almost psychotic state of making everything about their child so that their child actually can survive. It's an adaptive psychological transformation to help mothers invest themselves fully in the well-being of the child. And then he talked about how they go through this gradual awakening to the reality that there are other things that exist in the world, and then it makes their focus and their care of the child less perfect or less complete. And that's actually the beginning of narcissistic growing up processes. So when you're the center of the universe for this parent of yours, and then they start to disappoint you some, that actually forces the child to manage themselves, their own belief in being able to do things, and their own ability to cope with what it means that they're not the center of the world. And so that disillusionment actually, according to Winnicott, was like the beginning of forming an identity. And it's that friction between you and what you want and need from the world that gives you a sense of the edge of yourself. So when that goes awry, either because you don't get enough or you get too much for too long, it can cause people to think they should be the center of someone else's universe. In some cases, if you can be, that's okay. But most of the time you can't be. So I think this happens a lot in the transition people have from being in a home environment that's familiar and custom tailored to them to being in one like a college setting, for instance, when people leave home and become independent and they have to manage themselves. They have their own schedule that might be different than their roommates or their friends. And the fact that nobody's really looking after them provides an opportunity for them to go through narcissistic growth, have enough self-esteem to do things that are good for them, and not having too much self-esteem or self-centeredness that they can't build relationships and connections and do the things they need to do around other people. So I think that kind of process of leaving one's home, whatever it looks like for different cultures and circumstances and environments, that adaptation to a place that doesn't care about you as much allows people to have some human growth psychologically, to learn how to manage themselves. But it's also the time that people are most at risk for developing personality problems and psychiatric disorders. It's very difficult for families and schools and young people when they don't have that much stability or predictability of managing, because it makes it hard for both them to take risks, and it's hard for the environment to allow them to take those steps forward knowing that they're going to fall down, because the environment is really afraid that falling down means that they'll do something really damaging to themselves. So having this kind of growing zone of learning by putting the task a bit out of reach, that actually helps a young person strive to be capable of managing to get their own needs met.